Have you ever had a moment you wish you could take back? A moment so awful that it haunts you in the middle of the night, making you cringe at the person you were. I had one of those moments 3 months ago, and I was certain I'd have to live with the shame forever. But life has a strange way of offering redemption when you least expect it, sometimes through the most unexpected messenger. This is the story of how a 7-year-old girl I screamed at in public became the person who saved my life. It's about second chances, forgiveness, and the transformative power of kindness. I'm sharing this because maybe someone out there needs to hear that it's never too late to become better, and that sometimes our worst moments can lead us to our greatest blessings. 3 months ago, I was barely holding myself together. That Tuesday morning, my husband of 8 years had handed me divorce papers over breakfast without warning. He'd met someone else, he said, someone who understood him better. I sat there in shock, staring at the legal documents while my coffee went cold. By noon, my boss called me into his office to tell me the promotion I'd worked toward for 5 years was going to someone else, someone younger with less experience. I smiled, said I understood, then locked myself in the bathroom and cried for 20 minutes. That afternoon, I got a call from the hospital about my mother's mounting medical bills. I'd already maxed out 2 credit cards helping her, and now they needed more. I hadn't slept more than 2 hours the night before, hadn't eaten anything since yesterday's lunch, and I was running on pure anxiety and despair. I went to the grocery store because I had nothing left in my apartment to eat. I moved through the aisles like a zombie, barely seeing what I was putting in my cart. When I finally reached the checkout line, I stood there staring at my phone, reading and rereading the divorce papers my lawyer had just emailed me. I was trying so hard not to break down in public. That's when I felt the impact, something slamming into my shopping cart hard enough to make it roll forward. I looked up to see a little girl stumbling backward, her arms flailing. She'd knocked into a candy display, sending chocolate bars and gum packages scattering across the polished floor. She was maybe 7 or 8, wearing a faded pink shirt with a mysterious stain and jeans that were clearly too short for her growing legs. Her dark curly hair was pulled back in a lopsided ponytail. A woman standing nearby looked at me with such pure disgust that I felt it physically. An older man shook his head and muttered something under his breath. The cashier wouldn't make eye contact with me. I paid for my groceries in silence, my hands shaking, and walked out to my car. I sat in the parking lot for 30 minutes, crying. Not because I felt guilty, not yet. I was still too wrapped up in my own misery to think about what I'd done. Over the next few weeks, the memory would creep up on me at random moments. I'd be brushing my teeth or driving to work, and suddenly I'd see her face, the way she'd flinched when I yelled, the tears that had filled her eyes. I'd feel sick to my stomach, but I'd push the feeling away, telling myself I had bigger problems. My divorce was being finalized. I was drowning in debt. I didn't have the emotional capacity to worry about some random kid I'd never see again. 3 months passed. It was a Saturday morning, and I was still in my pajamas, drinking coffee and staring at the stack of unpaid bills on my kitchen table. Then I heard it, a soft knock at my door. Not the aggressive pounding of a bill collector or the familiar rap of a friend. Something gentle, hesitant. I shuffled to the door and opened it, expecting a delivery or maybe a neighbor. Instead, I found myself face to face with the little girl from the grocery store. I recognized her instantly. Those same big brown eyes, that same dark curly hair. My heart stopped. She was holding a small terracotta pot with bright yellow flowers, and standing behind her was an elderly woman with silver gray hair pulled into a neat bun, wearing a cardigan despite the warm weather. The grandmother had kind eyes that crinkled at the corners, the face of someone who'd lived through hardship but chose gentleness anyway. My stomach dropped. I thought they were here to confront me, maybe even report me for verbal harassment. "Can I help you?" I managed to ask, my voice shaking. The little girl looked up at her grandmother, who gave her an encouraging nod. Then she held the plant out to me with both hands. "My grandma and I grow these," she said softly. "We sell them at the farmer's market to help pay for my grandma's medicine." That day at the store, I was trying to get money from my pocket to buy her favorite candy bar for her birthday, but I dropped it and it rolled under your cart. When you yelled at me, I thought I'd done something really terrible. I felt like someone had reached into my chest and squeezed my heart. I couldn't speak, couldn't move. The grandmother placed her hand gently on the girl's shoulder. "This is Emma," she said warmly. "And I'm Margaret. Emma's been asking about you for weeks." Margaret continued, Emma saw you last week, sitting in your car in the grocery store parking lot. She said you were crying. She told me she wanted to bring you flowers because you looked like you needed kindness. Those words shattered something inside me. This child, this precious child I'd screamed at, humiliated, made cry, had seen me at my lowest and responded with compassion. I started crying right there on my porch, tears streaming down my face. I'm so sorry, I choked out. I'm so sorry. I was having the worst day, but that's no excuse for what I said to you. There's no excuse. I was cruel and you didn't deserve that. Nobody deserves that. Emma stepped forward and wrapped her small arms around my waist, hugging me tightly. I couldn't believe it. This little girl was comforting me, the person who'd hurt her. It's okay, she whispered against my shirt. My grandma says everyone has bad days. She says that's when we need to be kind the most, because we never know what people are going through. I invited them inside and we sat at my kitchen table, the same table where I'd been staring at bills and divorce papers for months. I told them everything. The divorce, the job disappointment, my mother's illness, the crushing debt, the insomnia, the feeling that I was drowning and couldn't find the surface. Margaret listened without judgment, nodding occasionally, her eyes full of understanding. Then she shared her story. She'd lost her daughter, Emma's mother, to illness 2 years ago. She was raising Emma alone on Social Security and a small pension while managing diabetes. They sold flowers and vegetables at the farmer's market every weekend to make ends meet. Some days I want to give up, Margaret admitted, her hand covering Emma's. But then I look at Emma, and I remember that kindness is the only thing that gets us through the hard times. It's the only currency that really matters. Before they left, I wrote them a check for $500. Margaret tried to refuse, but I insisted. Please, I said, let me do something right. But Emma and Margaret didn't just take the money and disappear. They came back the following Saturday with more flowers, sunflowers this time. We thought your kitchen could use some sunshine, Emma said. They invited me to have lunch with them, then dinner the next week. Margaret taught me how to make her mother's chicken soup recipe. Emma showed me her drawings from school and asked me to help her practice reading. Slowly, week by week, they became part of my life. When Margaret had a health scare and needed to go to the emergency room, I was the one who drove them there at 2 a.m. I sat with Emma in the waiting room, holding her hand just like she'd held mine with her hug that day on my porch. I started volunteering at their farmer's market booth on weekends. I helped Emma with her math homework. We had dinner together every Sunday. My life didn't magically fix itself. I'm still divorced. I'm still at the same job. My mom still has medical bills, but I'm different now. I'm better. Last week, Emma brought me a drawing she'd made in art class. It showed 3 stick figures holding hands, her, Margaret, and me, standing in front of a table overflowing with colorful flowers. At the top, in her careful second-grade handwriting, she'd written, "My family." I hung it on my refrigerator, right where I see it every morning when I make my coffee. It reminds me that our worst moments don't have to define us, that people can change, that forgiveness is real. That sometimes the things we think will destroy us are actually doorways to something beautiful, if we're brave enough to walk through them. I learned that kindness isn't just something nice we do when we're feeling good. It's a choice we make especially when things are hard, especially when we're hurting, especially when it would be easier to lash out. Emma, at 7 years old, understood this better than I did at 35. She saw someone in pain and chose compassion over resentment. She chose to see my humanity even after I'd failed to see hers. If you're reading this and you've made mistakes, if you've been cruel when you should have been kind, if you've taken your pain out on innocent people, it's not too late. Accept the grace that's offered to you. Let people help you become better. And most importantly, be the person who offers that same grace to others. That little girl saved my life by showing me that kindness matters more than being right, more than pride, more than protecting ourselves from more hurt. She showed me that love is the only thing that heals us, and that sometimes it comes from the most unexpected places. I'm writing this from Margaret's house right now. We're making flower arrangements for tomorrow's market, and Emma's at the table practicing her spelling words. The radio's playing oldies, and there's fresh lemonade in the fridge. This is my family now. This is what happens when a child decides that someone who hurt her deserves love anyway. This is what redemption looks like.